And now I'd like to welcome Colleen Little and Lindsay Huey from the 2005 women's soccer team to the podium to offer their thoughts about tonight's induction.
Going to sweep that under there. So I wanted to start off by saying that I'll be looking down the whole time, so I apologize in advance. I trust my speech at this point more than I trust myself after many headers. So I wanted to start by thanking the University of Portland, the athletic department, all of its staff for putting this event together. And I wanted to thank everyone who took the time out of their busy schedules to make it tonight. I'm honored and grateful to have the opportunity to speak about the 2005 team. I played soccer most of my life and have never been on a team that never lost a game until 2005. I want to be honest in saying I don't know that there will ever be a team that is quite like that 2005 team, and I was very blessed and honored to be on that team. I think part of what made the team so very special was the fact that Clive was still very much a part of the process and recruited so many of the players that are on the team now, or were. I think three things that come to mind for me personally are the fitness, the strengthening, and the selflessness of this team. I'd never done so much fitness in my life. And it was actually pretty cool because we were all motivated to do fitness on our own, which I'd never seen in a team before, especially since I personally hate fitness. I do. But when Terry would ask us to run at, 75, we ran at 90. If he asked us to make it in 20, we made it in 15. And so there was this inner competitor within every single person on the team that really allowed the team to work at its full capacity and was different from any other team I'd ever been on. As for the strengthening, I grew muscles that year I didn't know I had. And I specifically remember a time at which my dad asked me what the muscles behind my neck were and whether or not girls were supposed to have those. And I don't think we are, but I did that year. I remember in the Child Center being on the second floor up by the track with Ryan and doing this circle push-up thing that I freaking hated. I hated that thing. And so you'd go down into a push-up and you'd have to hold it until he could tell you you could come up. And I still have nightmares about that circle. And now I torture my own teams with that push-up circle. So it was both good and bad. And then there was the selfless part. When you look at the makeup of the team, you have several players who had been through the national team pool. Not once will any of those players mention that when interviewed or asked what made this team phenomenal, every single player, no matter their position, stats, would answer almost identical. They'd reference the team, never themselves. I am and always have been humbled to have spent my time alongside legends in this game. I'll be honest that that final year was so hard for me. I had made plans to retire in 2005 after that last game. And I had seen myself very much as a center mid. But that year I became an outside winger, and if you know this game, that position really just means run and run and run and run and run. And most of the time you don't get the ball. A lot of the time you don't get the ball. So it was a mental adjustment for me, but an easy physical transition as I knew that that's where Garrett needed me and so many of my teammates needed me there. And so everyone made sacrifices, and I never heard a word about it because we were focused on one thing, which was our national championship. In the end, we accomplished something amazing, and it was more than a national championship. We formed genuine relationships where we all care about and support each other no matter what. We celebrate relationships, the birth of children, job transitions, and everything in between. I've always been proud to be a pilot, and today that couldn't be more true. So here's to forming the class of 2028 and beyond of future Portland pilots with all those little babies out there. And special thanks to the university, our staff, my teammates, our families, and all the people who supported us over the years. Thank you.
The 2005 National Championship team, quickly after we won, a rumor started floating around the soccer community that we might just be the best women's college soccer team that there ever was. We were one of those national championship teams that movies are made of. We decided really early on, before the season even started, that we were going to win, and that we were going to win no matter what it took. In the spring of 2005, that's when we started training for the national championship that we knew we were going to win. We were in the gym all the time. We were training every day during the summer like we were already in the championship game. And we decided this collectively as a team. On paper, we looked perfect. Garrett recognized this, and he told us at the very beginning of the season to check your egos at the door. And every single person on the team did. We were the team that everyone wanted to beat quickly. We were on top, and in sports, you know that being on top is one of the hardest places to stay. I was lucky enough to be on both national championships teams in 2002 and 2005, and the 2005 national championship journey was quite different to 2002. In 2002, we were definitely the underdogs, and we had to fight tooth and nail with no expectations. The 2002 team thrived on this, as we didn't really care because we were all playing for something greater than ourselves in Clive. The 2005 team had a little bit of a different dynamic. We welcomed the pressure, we welcomed the expectation, and then we thrived on it. We wanted everybody to always bring us the hardest game. We asked to have you bring the hardest teams, the more the better. Soon we realized that after playing a few games, no one could touch us. Teams started to throw anything and everything at us to knock us off our game. One example was at University of Oregon. Anybody who's seen Merlot knows that Merlot is a full-size soccer field. Well, U of O decided to bring in the touch lines a little bit, try to make the field narrow, and to change our game. I think Sink scored 4 goals. Pepperdine, we were on our way to Pepperdine. There was a fatality accident on the way to the game. We were going to be late. So we were all in the vans trying to get ready, trying to scramble, putting our stuff on, kind of called ahead to see if Pepperdine would delay the start of the game, and they wouldn't. We tied 1-1, but we got the job done. No loss there. And then finally, when we thought we were finally going to reap the rewards, when they announced the playoff selection, we were outright the #1 seeded team in the country and got sent to Nebraska to play our first round playoff game. I don't know if there's any other sport that would ever send a #1 team away to Nebraska in the winter. If it didn't get worse, on the way back home, we got stuck in the Denver airport and had to stay overnight. But we didn't really let any of us affect us. In fact, it made us all want it even more. That season, we set record after record. We had very few goals against. We set the attendance record. Sink was setting single-season goals. We were undefeated. We sold out our game against Notre Dame in under 6 minutes. We routed UCLA in the final 4-0, and we had an entire city behind us. That 2005 national championship run was amazing, and it was magical. Every number and every stat makes us a perfect candidate to be called the best women's soccer team in history. However, as I sat down to write the speech, I realized something that none of us knew at the time. That team was a catalyst. We were a catalyst for change. A change for women's soccer as we know it today. Look at the Portland Thorns. Sink is their captain, and they are playing in front of 22,000 plus screaming fans. They allowed young girls to truly dream big. They have an entire city in love with them, and no other team in the league can compare in support. This is largely due to the fact that our city loves women's soccer, and that comes from the rich history that Clive created and Garrett carries on with the University of Portland. It's from 2 national championships we were able to win and put Portland on the map. After the 2005 team, fans were sold, and they were hooked. They stuck with us on every step of our journey, and now they followed Sink as she captains her city's team. The 2005 team is the best women's college soccer team, not because we set records, went undefeated, or won the trophy. It's because we left a legacy. And a legacy is something that we, the university, and the city get to hold on to forever.